Today, we are digging into one of the most incredible stories from the ancient world. It's a story about where true power comes from. And what if I told you that one of the most powerful ideas in all of history didn't come from a king or a general, but from a man who owned absolutely nothing, not even his own body? That's right. The most powerful man in the world at the time, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, had his entire worldview shaped by the teachings of a former slave. How on earth does that happen? What could a slave possibly teach an emperor about power, about freedom, about how to live? I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Epictetus. He was born into slavery. His leg was permanently crippled by a cruel master. On the other side, Marcus Aurelius, the absolute ruler of the entire Roman Empire. You literally could not find two people further apart on the social ladder. So what was the secret connection between these two men? Well, the answer, amazingly, can be found in one single brutal story. It's a story that tells you everything you need to know about where Epictetus's unbelievable mental strength came from. It's the story of how his leg was broken and why his mind was not. So the story goes, his master, a pretty powerful guy himself, secretary to the Emperor Nero, was in a rage about something. We don't know why, but he grabs Epictetus's leg and just starts twisting it, harder and harder. Now you'd expect screams, right? Begging, pleading. But no. Epictetus just looks his master in the eye and says, completely calmly, "If you keep doing that, it will break." He wasn't threatening him. He wasn't complaining. He was just stating a fact, like he was talking about the weather. The master didn't listen. He kept twisting. And then, a sickening crack. The bone snapped. It was a terrible injury, one that would make him limp for the rest of his life. And this is the truly mind-blowing part. Epictetus doesn't scream in agony. He doesn't curse his master. He just looks at him with this unbelievable tranquility and says, "Didn't I warn you?" His body was broken, sure, but his spirit, his inner self, completely untouched. So you have to ask, right? How is that even possible? How can a person face that kind of white-hot agony with that level of calm? It seems superhuman. But for Epictetus, it wasn't magic. It was the result of a single, powerful, philosophical tool he used every single day. He actually told this story about his leg over and over in his teachings. For him, it was the perfect example of his core belief, summed up right here. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. You see the distinction? Your body can be hurt, it can be sick, it can be imprisoned, but your will, your inner power to choose how you respond, that can always remain free. Now, this isn't just some nice-sounding idea. It's a practical, real-world framework for living. Epictetus called it the dichotomy of control, and he believed that understanding this was the absolute first and most important job for anyone who wanted to live a good life. And it's so simple, it's almost deceptive. All you have to do to find peace and freedom is to get really, really good at separating things into two buckets, things you actually control and things you don't. Or, to put it another way, what's your business and what is none of your business? Okay, let's look at what this actually means, because this is where it gets radical. In our control, our business, are our choices, our opinions, our reactions, basically our inner world. Now look at the other column. What's not in our control? Well, our body, our health, our wealth, even our reputation. All of these things depend, at least in part, on luck and other people. This quote really nails the core lesson here. Think about it. When you get upset, it's not the actual event, the traffic jam, the mean comment, even the broken leg, that's making you suffer. It's your judgment about that event. And here's the secret. That judgment is one of the very few things in the entire universe that is 100% in your control. So this isn't just some theory you think about once and forget. For Epictetus, philosophy wasn't something you just talked about in a lecture hall. It was something you did. It was a daily training regimen for your mind. And he taught his students a really practical method. He told them to treat every thought and feeling that pops into their head, he called them impressions, like a stranger at the door. You don't just let them in. You challenge them first. You test them to see if they're legit. He even gave them a simple 3-step process. Okay, step 1. When a negative thought or feeling shows up, you stop and you say to it, "Hold on, you are just an impression and not necessarily what you appear to be." Step 2, you test it with your rule. You ask, is this about something I control or something I don't? And step 3, if it's about something you don't control, you have your answer ready to go. Then it is nothing to me. You just let it pass by without getting tangled up in it. And the proof of this idea's power is just how long it has lasted. I mean, think about this journey. It starts with a slave, Epictetus, around 55 AD. A century later, it's the guiding light for an emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Then, fast forward almost 2,000 years to 1965, and an American POW named James Stockdale is using these exact teachings to survive 7 years of torture in Vietnam. And today, this very idea is a cornerstone of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, one of the most effective tools we have against anxiety and depression. It's incredible. So, that's all great, but how do we remember to do this when we're actually stressed out or angry? Well, Epictetus left us with one last brilliant metaphor to help us put this all into practice. It all boils down to that one ultimate power we always have, the power of choice. He said to think of every situation in life like a cup with two handles. One handle is bearable. You can pick it up, you can deal with it. The other handle, it's unbearable. It's impossible to hold. The exact same situation, but which handle you choose to grab is completely up to you. And he gave this fantastic example. Let's say your brother does something to wrong you. You can grab the unbearable handle by focusing on the injustice, dwelling on the wrong he's done. Or you can choose the bearable handle. You can remind yourself that he's your brother, that you grew up together, that your relationship is bigger than this one fight. It's the same event, but a totally different experience, right? And that right there is the big takeaway. So much of our life is completely out of our hands. What other people think, whether we get sick, whether we succeed or fail. But the choice of perspective, the choice of which handle we're going to grab, that is always up to us. And in that choice lies true freedom. So that leaves us with a final challenge, a question Epictetus would want you to carry with you. The next time you feel yourself getting angry or anxious or hurt by something that happens, pause for just a second and remember you have a choice. Which handle will you grab?